you have it on Spotify, you go give it 5 stars. I actually don't even care if you listen. I just want you to hit play. You can walk away from it and then just make sure you review it 5 stars. If you're not going to do it 5 stars, just don't even, like, legit, don't even bother. But if you're going to go in there, you hit play, then what you're going to do is you're actually going to go find other people in your family that have separate YouTube and Spotify accounts. You're just going to go start hitting play on all those accounts too, right? So you have them all playing in the background. Again, don't care if you listen. We're just looking to juice. We're looking to juice the numbers. You leave a comment. You go over into your other family members. You have them leave a comment. Thumbs up. It's awesome. We love you guys. All this stuff. Again, do nothing else.
Yesterday, we were in Kit and realized that we'd broken our lead sequence for every new prospect that we'd gotten over the last month. Doug, I almost killed you. And here we are. This is the behind the scenes look at what it's like to really run a camp as we try and figure out how to make sure that kids are getting to camp, that it's awesome, and everything behind the scenes, going from we bought a camp to we're absolutely crushing it. But Doug, we're in Kit yesterday, and you realized that we hadn't been sending emails to our new prospects for the last at least month. What'd you think?
Yeah. I mean, this is one of those moments where it's like, by the way, this would be the second time this has happened. And the first time it was like, we realized it. And then the second time we really realized it. And I think there's a version of this that goes on at every camp, right? There's lots of things happening, and there's usually very few people that are tasked with actually doing it and keeping an eye on it and making sure it's running. And this is, I'm guessing, I mean, I'm not a camp owner, you are, I'm guessing is some version of the pain that everyone listening to this figures out at some point, that was like, I thought you were looking at it. And then someone else says, I thought you were looking at it. And then we all just say, well, no one was looking at it. And we just thought it was on autopilot. And here we go. But yeah, the whole point of this is going to be us talking about what it is that we're working on every day. And also the sort of the downstream accumulation of Jack. How many hours do you think you and I have talked over the last 2 years? If you had to ballpark it, how many hours, if you and combine hours with Slack messages and text messages and all that stuff, would you say we're like in the thousands? No, that's a lot.
At least it's like 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
So the revelation for us. So we use Kit for sending emails, and we broke our Kit sequence, and it's not the end of the world. We have more campers this year than we did last year. You know, like we're trending up, all that kind of stuff. And it's like one of those moments where I want to stab myself in the eye thinking, how could we have messed this up? And it happens all the time at camp, because like Doug said, it's like, what's the racy chart that is supposed to have every single assigned task that each person owns and what they do and how it's really hard to keep track of that. And we found that this was broken, and then we spent the next hour trying to understand how can we do less of the things that we're terrible at as humans, right? Like keeping track of every single detail. And how do we try to let Claude be our safeguard on some of this stuff? And it's never going to be perfect, and there's always going to be a human in the loop and all those kind of things. But the big takeaway is, I need Claude to be learning more and more about K&E every day so that it can be more useful to getting these things done. And so, Doug, you started talking about stacking skills, and I'm a little overwhelmed on what you said. So try and explain that to me so I can catch up.
So a lot of this is going to go back to things. One of the plans for this going forward too is just go back to what we wrote about on Right for Camp over on Substack. So we'll make sure the link is in the show notes here. That's the old, you have to just do a little bit of maybe mini plug there. So basically is this. So when we realize it's broken, right? We're like, okay, we need to go back. Something didn't happen. We have the whole lead sequence written, by the way. So it's not like a matter of whether or not it exists. It's there. It just wasn't connected right to where the one person that's tagging it is supposed to go to this other place. And it's supposed to just kind of run on autopilot. So, but in talking about this, what we realized, we're like, okay, this is down chain of needing to figure out all the rest of this stuff around the entire funnel. So rather than, okay, one is we went and fixed, we connected the thing and made sure that it was fixed again. So that one, fingers crossed, is working again. But really the bigger thing is what we talk so much about now is context. It's like we want Claude to be able to help run camp so that you and I can do the thing and everyone else can do the thing that we think we're pretty good at, talking, joking around, thinking about stuff. And then this part, kind of have it done in the background. And it really actually all starts with context. And we knew that we needed to go back basically to like the beginning and say, what's everything we know about camp? What's everything we already do pretty well? What are the things that are already exist in the background? Can we organize that all together so that we can begin chaining the different skills in Claude, the .skills skills, not just the human skills? Can we begin chaining all these things together to make sure that this never happens again? But it all starts with context. And we talked a little bit about this. We did a webinar about Claude and co-work. I've been talking to tons of camps about this. Context is where everyone kind of skips and then tries to race to the finish, which is like, hey, write me a camp marketing plan. And Claude's like, no problem, dude. Got you. I got you. I'll just do the whole thing right now. And it'll just one shot it and it'll just kind of leave it up there, right? Like nothing but net, and just kind of walk away from it. But it misses the whole piece of it doesn't know anything about us yet. No, this is different for us because we actually have a lot of context in here, but like it doesn't know anything about us or the camp or our goals or what channels that it's on or what it's living in as in kit. Like what's at the top of the funnel? What are the ads being run? Where are they landing? What are the landing pages? What's tracking it? Like it doesn't have any of the context for that. And if without the context of it, we're just going to end up chasing our tails. So if there's one thing that camps can do right now, we think, is do what Jack and I started doing this morning, which was begin sharing and making sure that both of us have access to everything that we already know about K&E and the work that we're doing, and starting from there and spending kind of like all the time on that. So then we can know what success looks like. Right? Is that like a fair way to say it? I think like that's what we're trying to, I think that's where we're starting. Jack sent me a PDF. We'll talk about someone want to kill somebody. Jack sent me a PDF of all the context this morning. And I was thinking, and anyone that uses Claude at all is going to say PDF. It's like the worst file, the worst file extension that you could use to actually send someone. But beyond that, is that how you kind of see it too? That we're trying to start from scratch. And I think that's going to be a hard thing for some camps to do. I think it's going to be a hard thing for camps to think about, like, oh, I have to go all the way back to the beginning and start getting all of this context about my camp in first before I just say, write me a parent email. And it's like, yes, of course. Otherwise, it's just going to be a bad version of what you're already doing now.
But to be fair, getting started is actually not as hard as it sounds because Claude is so smart now. And the first steps, and this is what we just wrote about in Right From Camp, is start talking to Claude inside of co-work. By the way, inside of co-work, set up a folder that it's going to store all of these conversations in and build your context. I call mine Big Brain. And inside that, ask Claude, what does it need to know to be better at helping you do the task that you want it to do? So start there. It's like you're talking to your smartest friend. If they don't know anything about you, they can't actually help you. Like my dad is actually up at camp right now. He's replacing dryer vents and helping me cool down some of the girls' lodges. He can't just come in and say this is exactly what to do. He has to go in, poke around, look at where there's actually insulation, where are there dead spots in the roof line, where should the fans go, what's actually up there. You can't just like ask ChatGPT, how do you cool down a lodge, because it doesn't know what a lodge looks like. And so for Claude, when I want to write, one of the things that I'm thinking about for Claude right now is how do I help K&E have better GEO or AEO? How does it show up better inside of the conversations that people are going to have with AI about camp? And the way I started the prompt is go look at everything you know about K&E and look at our website. And my meta goal is to get more kids to camp and use AEO or GEO to get there. Understand what camp is, understand the internet, and then the last leg of the stool is who's the best in the world at this that I can use as the rubric for attacking this. And so Rand Fishkin is the founder of Moz and this thing called SparkToro. I said, hey, go learn all about Rand Fishkin. And what would he say? And then this is the part that's been the big unlock for me is I say to Claude on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you in those three, how much you understand about those three things, the expert, the internet presence, and what my goal is. And with those three things, it gives me a scale of 1 to 10. It's like 6 out of 10 on how much I understand, whatever. And I'm like, okay, now what do you need? What more do you need? And it will tell me exactly what it needs. And I can sometimes get it and I sometimes can't. But I need the conversation with Claude is not me just using it like a search engine. It's asking it to tell me what it needs to get to the goal that I want to get to better.
Yeah, I love that. And it really with everything that I'm doing, I think you are doing too. It actually, the conversational aspect, it's like no secret. It's like, hey, we just are trying to get our whole life down the conversations. And if we can get our whole life down the conversations, then we actually will probably make a lot of progress because the mundane tasks of the world are mostly pretty solvable. But if we don't have the conversations to know what success looks like, then we're going to kind of struggle, right? And Claude works the same way. It's like, hey, we need to show it what success looks like. We need to know that it understands so that when it hears us talk or hears us type something in or tell it something through whisper flow or whatever, it actually knows exactly where to go look. But, and a lot of this is downstream of where everyone is probably starting right now, which is to say mostly using Claude or ChatGPT as a glorified Google. But if you can start in one place, like these other bigger, it's overwhelming to think about this, by the way. Like when we talked yesterday, it was like, we're going to remake the whole marketing channel. Oh, that's like a lot of work. Like, I think we both walked away from that being like, whoa, okay, that's a lot. But it was considerably easier to think about when we said, can we give Claude everything it needs to understand about us? Then go just step by step through each process, show it what success looks like, write a skill for it, write a context file for it for each little step of the building block along the way. And then when it gets to AEO and JEO, it actually can spit out some real answers and real things that we can go do with it. When it needs to know how to update the marketing, when it needs to, when it figures out the lead sequence is broken or like whatever, like it was yesterday, okay, we can know how to fix it. But all that only starts with if you actually have given it right context. So if you're just starting now and thinking about this, I'm telling you, the first thing to do is start making these files, like Jack said, gathering together what you already have, having long conversations with Claude so it can really understand you. Do that. It feels in the moment like you're not doing anything. Like it feels like, because there's no output, right? Like there's no, oh, what's the thing I'm going to hand over to somebody tomorrow? It's like, well, nothing, but it will speed run you later on the things you actually want to do. But I actually think this is like one of the biggest problems people have with AI right now is that in the past it was go to Google, search an answer, get the answer, copy and paste it, do it, whatever, and be done. But this is just not that. So if you treat it like Google, where you just want one single answer every time, you will be stuck in that mode every time. If you go back and build properly and make some mistakes and do whatever, it starts to feel less intimidating to have a marketing channel redone in a month, which is basically what we said we were going to do. Right? Like it's like, that feels less, even though that's a lot. That's a big ask.
So I'm thinking about two things here that I think we can do to help people. One, let's just write next week for Right From Camp the exact prompt we would use to start this process for gathering the context of your camp. We have some prompts from last week that are useful in this category about staff training and some other stuff. But I think if we could have that for folks, that would be a huge win. And then the second thing is you said whisper flow. Whisper flow is this it's like a voice to text app. And I don't understand why some voice to text apps work better than others, but it just is better. And there's a free version, and then once you talk for too long, it's a paid version. The unlock for me for using whisper flow is I push the function button on my keyboard and I just talk, and I can talk like 3 times as fast as I can type, which means that for every minute I interact with Claude, it gets 3 times the context of what we're doing. And the meta of this podcast is the only reason why I agreed to do this podcast is because we're going to take the recording of this podcast and feed it back into Claude so it gets smarter about what we are trying to do. Because like all of you, I'm a super busy camp director and have a million other things that I could be doing. And I've decided that for 45 minutes a week, it's worth it to talk to Doug about this stuff so my Claude gets smarter, because I wanted to understand me better, and it listening to this will make it understand me better. And it doesn't actually listen. It's actually a transcript that it uses just for specificity.
Yeah. And I think that, like, you know, and just in terms of, this is our version of like doing something in public and just trying to get better, right? Like, it's like, that's just what, and trying to make camps run more efficiently because we think that that's going to be. With this in mind, Jack actually started this with another thing. So most times we're just going to go back and write about or talk about today, you know, whatever we talked about last week and on Right From Camp. And Jack actually just did it right here at the beginning, which is so to switch over from AI to storytelling, because we're trying to meet at some right now. We're trying to meet at an intersection of storytelling and systems behind it, because we think we're pretty good at the storytelling part of it, and we actually think we're pretty good. We're going to be very good at the systems part of it. But for sure, when we started talking, it was about what stories can we kind of tell about camp that's going to get summer camp people more excited to get people to camp. And one strategy and style that we use all the time is called, like, it's called the English version of it. The English class version of it is called in media res, but it's just basically starting in the middle. So, and it's the best way to tell a camp story. So Jack did it at the beginning. He starts basically sort of in the middle, in the present, which he says, we broke everything. He wants to kill me. He will shiv me in the back if he could, and like replace me with his like Claude AI overlord. If he could do that, he would. But he starts it there on purpose, right? Because it's like, oh, we could have started at some random beginning of this and it would have been probably fine. And I'm guessing that it would be less interesting. I was talking to a camp pro who I will not name on this, but he had a great version of it. It was just about an outward bound trip that he did with kids, and the whole, and it was an incredible story, right? About just the trajectory of these kids from age 8 all the way to this point at like age 14, where they're cresting over a mountain and they see someone come off the mountain. And the story could be told by starting at age 8 and moving all the way up. But it's actually way better to start with them right at the bottom of the mountain, with them looking up at the mountain, seeing that they can probably make it here, and then backtracking back to age 8 to what brought them there. So to switch over from AI stuff to just storytelling stuff, if you're trying to tell your camp story, it's almost always better. And Jack has a good one with milk and cookies on this one, but like, it's almost always better to start somewhere around the middle or the end to pique interest, and then walk people back to the beginning to see sort of like why they're there at this really weird drop-in point, and then speed run it to the end with whatever lesson you're trying to sell. Tell the milk and cookies one real quick. It's one of the most successful things we've ever sent. And people that have been in our cohorts have heard this, but it's like, this is worth it.
I'm walking around camp doing a tour, and we walk into one bunk, and I've got a 8-year-old thinking about coming to camp. We walk into the 9-year-old's bunk, and you hear this like weird inaudible sound that's like kind of on the PA. It's like, you can't really quite hear what it says. And all the 8-year-olds just look at each other and they go, milk and cookies. And they like look at the new kid who's on the tour, and like without saying anything, you could see the eyes go back and forth like, oh, we're running now. And they just take him with them and they just sprint out of the bunk on their way up to go get milk and cookies. At the end of rest hour every day, you get milk and cookies at K&E, and it's like, you know, it's an exciting, you get Oreos and milk and whatever. And so that's the middle of the story. You start there, and then you work backwards to, why does this matter? What does this say about the fact that inclusion is a big part of what happens at K&E, and all the things that you can make from there. I learned 4 things about writing from Doug that I think he takes for granted. 1, start in the middle of the story. He has whatever the English version of intermediate res, whatever the. Yeah. The second one is write shorter sentences with more enters. At the end of a sentence, just hit enter and have more white space. White space equals good on the internet. 3, people don't read linearly. They scan, they notice something cool, and they loop back up. And the last the last one is the hook is the only thing that matters. The goal of any writing is to get people to read a little bit more. So if it's not interesting, it doesn't matter how important the information is. It has to be interesting. So give people a reason to keep reading. And that has changed the way I think about writing, but also storytelling across the board.
What I think, just like to cut in on that too, just because it goes with the AI stuff from the beginning, is that like what we talk about having this intersection of what we want AI to be good at doing for us and what we want to make sure we have human in the loop on. And human in the loop, like the AI, Claude, ChatGPT, whatever, is just never going to know the stuff that gets us excited, right? Or like the funny things that happened, or like the joke or the one-liner or the moment at the bottom of the mountain, or like literally whatever, these infinite things. Claude will never know that. I actually don't want it to know it. I don't want that to be part of the process. I want Claude to solve the time aspect for me and you and all of us, so that we can actually sit and think longer about those other things. Like I want to get back to like sort of basics on, I would like to sit for a long time and think about what the first line of an email or newsletter is, like that. Cause actually that's all that matters. Like you should spend 80% of your time thinking about the first line and then the other 20% writing the rest of it. Right. Because like, that's the goal. Like the goal of line one is to get them to read line two and yada, yada, yada. But like you should we want to see AI to free us up for the time to think deeply about these other things that really matter, because that's the stuff that's going to actually win. If you write an email about, hey, why summer camp tours are good, it's going to be shit. Like, I don't know what to tell you. It's going to be stupid. It's going to be boring. Like, it's going to be like every other camp. But if we sit for a long time and talk and be like, yo, milk and cookies is good. A dinosaur ate cars at camp. We're standing at the bottom of the mountain. Like there's millions of these. Like I can't even rattle them off because we spend all of our time thinking about those things. Get engaged is the one we're sending this week. It's Dr. Schott screaming, get engaged, or get outside or go outside and blow the stink off. Right. These like quotes, these like very personable things. These are all things you can see that have been written. It's like all the time is spent thinking about those things because that's the stuff that actually matters. Like that's the stuff that actually moves the needle. And if you can think deeply about it and care deeply about it and just desperately think to yourself, like, what do I care about? And what are the funny things, the interesting things, or the on-ramps or whatever you're going to call them, your stuff will be great. If you're just going to one-shot it and tell me to write me a camp newsletter, even with all that context, like we said at the beginning, even if you give Claude all the context in the world about your camp and yourself and knows all your inner secrets or like whatever, it still will not do a great job of knowing every little piece of the story in order to tell it. And I see it too many times. All your time should be spent on, it sounds terrible. If you're sending an email, almost all your time should be spent on the subject line, like, which is, I know everyone's going to hate that, but the next thing is, because you have to get them to open it. But the next thing is like all your time should be spent on that first line. And is it interesting? And if it is, then you will earn credit for the second line. And if it's not, you shouldn't even have bothered. So anyway, I don't know if I get impassioned when I talk about that. I think it's really important, but I want to like make sure the human, again, we're not just bowing down to our AI overlords here. I want them to help me with this other part. I want them to help me free up the time to think about this other stuff, which does matter more, I think, in the end.
Well, right. Because if we're talking about camp, what matters about camp is the people interacting with people deciding to send their kids to your camp because of who you are and the interactions that kids have between each other and among the staff and all of that. That's what matters. And the goal of AI, in my mind, is to help us get more of that to happen at camp. Because if we could live in a world that didn't have AI, great. That'd be a great world to live in. But that's not the world we're going to live in. And so I need to figure out how to use this tool to get more kids to camp and to make my camp more awesome. And so the two takeaways from today: one, give Claude as much context. We use Claude, use whatever you want. We use Claude Cowork. Give it as much context as you can. The best way to give it context is to tell it to go look for it and to talk to it. I'm like literally holding my thumb like this because I like push down on the function button for whisper flow. Literally just talk to it so it can ingest as much of you as possible. And then the second one is be human and start in the middle. And the being human in the middle part is so that you can bring people in when you're writing. All this stuff is the stuff we're writing about for on Write with Camp every week. It's going to be another one of these next week, and we're going to be using this to try to help get more kids to camp, but also so that our Claudes get smarter about who we are. That's the meta of this. If you're going to record it's worth it to probably just start recording podcasts like this, even if no one listens to them, even if no one watches them in your teams, because your AIs will get smarter about who you are.
Yeah. So anyway, 2 ways you help. Well, you watch this, you like it, you leave a comment. That's the easy stuff. This is I'm going back to my old podcasting days. You're right. Leave a comment.
Wait, Doug, really quick. What do you mean your old podcasting days? We didn't do any. Who the hell is Doug Norrie?
Locked On Nets. You can go look. But what we used to say for the Locked On Nets, and I'll say it here too, is that if you have it on Spotify, you go give it 5 stars. I actually don't even care if you listen. I just want you to hit play. You can walk away from it and then just make sure you review it 5 stars. If you're not going to do it 5 stars, just don't even bother. But if you're going to go in there, you hit play, then what you're going to do is you're actually going to go find other people in your family that have separate YouTube and Spotify accounts. You're just going to go start hitting play on all those accounts too, right? So you have them all playing in the background. Again, don't care if you listen. We're just looking to juice. We're looking to juice the numbers. You leave a comment. You go over into your other family members. You have them leave a comment. Thumbs up. It's awesome. We love you guys. All this stuff. Again, do nothing else. Just do those things. So that's the first thing I want you to do. The second thing I want you to do is just go to writefromcamp.substack.com, and it's free. It's free every Friday, and it's behind a paywall for Mondays and Wednesdays, but you're going to like it. And you can also just sign up for the Jack's Friends and Summer Camp Society newsletter. That is totally free, comes out every single Thursday. We'll probably end up publishing a little bit more there too. So those are the big asks. Log in and commit some kind of and it's not a crime. It's illegal to just go look at other accounts. You do that first. You start playing all through your house, and then you go sign up for free at those other places, and you are good to go. Jack, anything else on the way out?
Doug's making jokes here, but really, the more you do that, the more likely it is that we'll keep doing this forever.
I'm not joking about that. So, I want you to do that. I don't care.
make us feel good. Make us feel good. It'll mean we do more of this content. The better we feel, the more content you get. If you like it, if you don't like it, it's okay. There's other content on the internet. All we care about is getting kids to camp. This is about getting kids to camp. Camp's the best place on the planet that's going to prepare kids for the world that they don't know that they're entering yet, as AI changes everything about the world. The more human we can be, the better the world is, and kids need that. Kids need camp. You're doing the world a favor by helping kids get to camp. Thank you for what you do. I know it's not easy. You're incredible. Have a great summer.